Yo, it's me, it's the RVE. What's up, everyone? It is the Raven Effects here. Coming back for the HeelCast, we are breaking down the news of the week, and there is a lot of it not good. Talking the United We Stand show review, and kind of breaking down what we've been seeing over Impact the past couple of weeks. I am back to host this thing. It's my return for the first time in a while. I apologize. I have been on the move from hell, and a lot going on, but basically I've never had a move that's taken me over 2 or 3 days. This has been 2 weeks going on 3, the end of this weekend 4. So, but I've been trying to do more HeelCast, and hopefully we're going to do that shortly soon. I got my buddies with me here today. We've got the face of the HeelCast at this point anymore, the guy who, if there was no Hurls, there would be no HeelCast, the creator of the Hurls cast here. Hurls, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, what's going on? Ready to talk some interesting news, some negative, a little positive, and some United We Stand.
That's right. Hurls, and I did you talk, wasn't there a show about Brooklyn or something that you just did?
Yeah, I just did a show. I did the January Twitch show, Battle of Brooklyn. I talked about that. So check that out. It just actually dropped today. So if you're curious, if you want to watch that show, listen to that podcast first.
That's right. And then the man who cranks out a new podcast every 10 to 15 minutes or so, the busiest man in the podcast industry himself. I've got my main man, Larky Lark, kicking up some funky bunch. Lark, what's up, man?
I'm doing well. Happy to be back on the HeelCast and talk about the latest news and ongoings in Impact Wrestling and pro wrestling in general. So thank you as always.
That's right, man. So, it's been a big week. We're going to get to that, of course. We got to give the love and plug out to our HeelCast family and who to check out as well. So, of course, check out Kyle and the Sensitive Trent at the Total Nonstop Impact Podcast as part of the Impact Lounge with my buddy BQ. Go ahead and check them out. Kyle and Trent do a great job doing it every weekend. Very dedicated. Of course, you know how talented Kyle is with his editing and everything he does. And my boy BQ, I got so much love for. So check them out as always. My boy Larkin here with me, of course, the S&M Podcast. Larkin,
yes.
How many have you cranked out the past, let's just say, week at that?
Well, this week has been light. I just actually finished an interview with Sizzling Stan Styles, who has his intergender bonanza going on, where the main event is him and Joey Ryan against Priscilla Kelly and Jamie Senegal. Raylan's going to be on that show. He's had a lot of people on the show. Holodead, who's been on WoW. It's going to be very interesting going in towards, intergender bonanza, which is Friday, May 3rd. I'm in there. I'm always on the grind, whether it be pop culture, interviews, whether what I'm doing with Lingerie Fighting Championship, which is at Lingerie FC on Twitter. We just had LFC 26 in Las Vegas, where one former Impact World Champion, Austin Aries, was a special guest judge, so it's been a lot of fun.
Larkin's working with Lingerie Fighting Championships, which is amazing, and Larkin interviews every fat woman that has ever done porn as well, so check that shit out. My BBW loving listeners here.
It's a whole lot is what it is, Raven.
Whole lot for sure. And of course, check out our buddy Chef and Larkin. You're pretty much a regular on the Bodega now these days, aren't you?
Yeah, it's the Bodega Wrestling Podcast on Twitter. It's myself, it's Chef, it's Jorge, it's Courtney Summers, the Switch Babe from time to time. So it's a lot of fun on that. We pretty much cover all the news and ongoings in wrestling like we're doing here tonight.
That's right, man. Is Robert still on the Bodega?
He's still on the Bodega, but right now he's just been taking a little bit of absence. He's been busy doing, Robert things, whether it be, just it's life. Life catches up. They're working on the grind. So yeah, Robert's still doing Bodega with us. Yes.
Robert does life. Robert does wrestling, and I mean, Larkin, all the stuff that you do, and you do the Bodega, and then all of a sudden you're an honorary Latino as well. I mean, Larkin just does it all. Everyone. Of course, check out Robert, Wrestling Robert, and his Robert Does Wrestling show when that is going there. Is Robert taking a break from doing that show?
Yeah, he's taking a break right now.
All right. Well, Robert should be back with us shortly here to do some stuff. Hurls, I know you got some, you got that one coming out, and I know you got some non-wrestling related podcasts that are going to be dropping here shortly too. Hurls, what you got working on, my man?
Yeah, well, me and Chef are actually going to be doing the NBA playoffs preview podcast. We did it last year. It was under a different format. Well, this year it's going to be under my YouTube page personally. When that drops, I will give you more info. But, yeah, we're going to be taking a look at all the Eastern Conference matchups, and then we're going to be looking at all the Western Conference matchups. So We're going to be kind of talking about what surprised us during the season and what some teams that kind of failed to meet expectations. So it's gonna be a fun podcast talking some hoops with Chef.
So maybe Chef and I'll do a NFL draft show. But didn't you have another one about your main TV show here too?
I do. I'm a huge fan of the show, the reality competition show, The Amazing Race. So next Wednesday, the new season 31 drops, and it's going to be a bit of an all-star season. It's going to have teams from Survivor versus teams from Big Brother versus past teams from The Amazing Race. So it's going to be a kind of interesting season, and we are going to be doing a season preview for that. So check for that as well. It's going to be under the same YouTube page as my NBA playoff prediction show will be. So once I know exactly what YouTube show it is, I will be promoting that hopefully next week on the HeelCast.
There we go. Now, we are trying to do more of a weekly HeelCast. We understand we've lost a shitload of listeners because, we don't put a show out that often. But we're going to start trying to do that more frequently. It's been one of my New Year's resolutions. I'm failing on miserably. But, the thing I want to point out, too, though, is we do a lot of special shows. And some shows that have been special to me is when we recap the TNA shows and do the nostalgia era. For those of you, we put out 2006, 2007, 2008. Please check those out, man. Those mean a lot to me. Those are great shows and very fun if you haven't do it, especially if you're an old-school Impact fan. I know the GWN flashbacks can kind of annoy people at times, but these are better. But check out for the one that's going to be dropping soon here when we record it. It's 2009. Last time I did the show, I was like, hey, we're going to have this one done in a week or so and put it back out. We recorded the show originally, the 2009 show, and it was literally one of the best and funnest shows I had done. Now, the issue with that is Robert's computer in the middle of this recording shut out and shut down, so we have the final quarter of the year recorded, or the final couple months of the year recorded. Hopefully, we are going to get back together. Robert, Larkin, myself to the original. We're hoping to get the three of us back and Hurls at that time to redo the show soon. So please look out for it. I promise you, this is a must. It's a must listen show. You can't miss it. There are some discussions about TNA and some stuff that you never thought of that I dug in and wanted to talk to these guys about, and discussion questions that you don't hear anywhere. The woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. And I promise you when this drops, it's going to be a gem that you don't want to miss. So look for it. I promise you it's going to come out at some time soon, at least within the next month, hopefully within the next week or so. So, all right, guys, that kind of plugs it up with HeelCast family content coming out now. We're going to hop into the news. And there's a decent amount of it, but there is one big, huge thing that's got me really pissed off. Guys, it was Sunday on WrestleMania, the day of WrestleMania, so it would kind of take the ease away, because there was more important stuff going on, and there wouldn't be the eruption that it had. But Impact Wrestling and Anthem have released, as in terminated, Eli Drake. They have fired Eli Drake. The reason why Eli Drake was fired is they're saying it's a breach of contract, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but basically, Eli did some podcasts where he was talking about how Impact hadn't been using him right, but he had also, to give him the devil of his due here, he had also said about how he started having fun. But the main issue that really started everything, Eli was supposed to wrestle Tessa at the United We Stand show, not Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan replaced Eli Drake. And then he made some comments, too. There was when Killer Kross and Jordan Grace confronted each other on Impact, he talked about how who was thinking that Jordan Grace would stand a chance and not just get destroyed by Killer Kross immediately or something along those lines. It stirred up a lot of shit between him and Jordan Grace and got her upset. And this led to eventually, I believe, her man, fiance, husband, boyfriend, whatever, Jonathan Gresham from ROH getting involved in Eli, calling him names and whatnot. And that led to Eli's termination. I've got a lot I'm going to say on this stuff. First, Hurls, what was your reaction when you heard this on Sunday?
I was... my jaw dropped. To be completely honest. I knew his contract was coming up, but he basically got the Marty Jannetty treatment, how Marty Jannetty was treated when WWE.com told Marty Jannetty he's never working there again. I mean, that's kind of like what this was, because my initial thought was, well, this doesn't happen unless he did something to really piss Impact off, because normally you just let the guy's contract expire and he goes on his way. But I mean, they made it a point to say it on the website that he was terminated. So yeah, I was pretty shocked.
Larkin, what were your original thoughts when you saw this come down on Sunday, WrestleMania Day?
To be honest with you, then I'll read the statement that came out about the thing. I have to say this. I'll be honest with you, I kind of thought it was coming. I mean, we saw him go against the Chinless Wonder at Bound for Glory, and then, with the matches with Abyss, and now he's being involved with Eddie Edwards. I think the guy just was unhappy, and he wanted out, and I think he was just not a fan. Like, he originally did put over Tessa Blanchard, but, he didn't want to wrestle a woman, and I think his comments about intergender wrestling, like we just did see Scarlett Bordeaux and Disco Inferno on Impact, and I think just probably wasn't a fan of the direction, and just, I guess he was very vocal about it. They didn't appreciate it. They didn't appreciate the fact that he didn't want to wrestle Tessa Blanchard at United We Stand, which hence Joey Ryan got added. And then what came out on PW Insider was the belief among those is that Impact will pursue a breach of contract claim against Eli Drake, which would likely prevent him from signing elsewhere contractually until the situation was resolved. And then Impact terminated him on April 7th, just a few weeks before it was set to expire on May 31st. And some of the company believed that he was AEW bound, so it looks like he might be going AEW. But my thoughts overall, I kind of wasn't surprised, to be honest with you, Raven Effect.
Yeah, I mean, the breach of contract stuff, I mean, and we're going to talk about the potential fallout here in a minute, but I mean, I'm going to agree with you in the fact that, look, did I expect Eli Drake to re-sign with Impact? No, I didn't, because Impact Wrestling had been using him like shit. And I don't blame Eli Drake. You're a former world champion. When you can do what Eli Drake does, which is you can cut the best promo, you're the best talker in this entire business. You were one of the best talkers in the history of the business, in my opinion. I feel like Eli Drake's promo levels, man. There's The Rock, there's Austin, Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, and in my opinion, Pope, EC3, and Eli Drake could have been in that same category as like this household name, as good as it gets. There's multiple tiers as far as like your promo skills, but that is the top of the fucking line. Like nobody else can do what you can do, kind of a thing. And I didn't think that he would re-sign, because if I were him, I wouldn't either unless he started using me right. But as far as, the AEW thing, look, the fact of the matter is not all AEW contracts are exclusive. Look at the Lucha Brothers. But, that I just didn't expect that they would terminate him. And the shitty breach of contract, when that comes out, honestly, what that means is this ended ugly. The possibility for Eli Drake ever returning to Impact Wrestling the door is pretty much closed on it, and I would never expect that we'll see that again. Hurls, breach contract and stuff, anything you want to say on that?
I mean, the guy was... I think, like, it's hard to make a comment if we don't know exactly everything that goes behind the scenes, but from what we do know, the fact that they were putting him in intergender matches and he was probably going to take the job, I think, that can really hurt your credibility, as far as your future goes, too, even if you're not going to re-sign. So, yeah, I think Impact was definitely jobbing him out because they knew he was leaving. So, but at the same time, I don't know why Impact's being such, being the assholes about it. Like, why just let the guy go? So what? Don't just put him in matches and job him out the old-fashioned way. I didn't understand the whole losing to Tessa Blanchard and then, throwing a hissy fit because he doesn't want to do it. A lot of us want to still have some sense of belief in wrestling. That's when wrestling was its best, at least in my lifetime. I don't know why we don't want to get back to that, because I think that would, intergender matches are fine if it's believable, but this is not believable, and, to me, I want to at least believe that the woman can actually beat the guy. And no offense to Tessa, exactly like what Eli Drake said. No offense, but it's just not believable. So I don't know. I don't really understand the whole why Impact had to go after him like this, unless there's stuff we don't know.
I've got a lot to say, and I've said a lot of this on not only Impact's like Facebook page and Twitter and stuff. And I'm going to get into that in a second, but before I kind of let loose and go off, because it's going to take a minute here, I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to come with some real heat on this shit. Larkin, was there anything you wanted to chime in before I go there? And Hurls kind of like brought it up to spark something a little bit, but I'm going to really elaborate on it.
Really nothing. I think we all pretty much said our piece on that. So if you have something to say, and then we'll get into more of the topics, go ahead, Raven. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no, my piece has not even been brought up yet, my friend. Man, I've got so much. I am fucking pissed, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like to start, I don't feel Eli Drake did anything wrong at all to get himself fired. I think Eli Drake was a victim, which plenty of fucking people that have no rich or famous or credibility in the world get ruined for. But this is the social justice and politically correct, overly sensitive society that we live in today. But look, I'm going to be honest. So for one, I want to say mad props to Eli Drake for not wanting to wrestle or get in a match with a woman. Like, for one, he's going in there and he's refusing to do man-on-woman violence, right? I mean, even if it's fake, like we know pro wrestling is not real. This is a fake fight. Sorry if any of our listeners or think that it's real. It's not. So I'm sorry if I just spoiled that for someone. But look, he's not going to go out there and it seems like that Eli Drake is the kind of guy that would hit a woman. And in a society today where, like, it's hard to really be a man. We either got men who aren't, afraid of their toxic masculinity or, not identifying as a man, or even worse, these men that go out there and hit women, because it seems like domestic violence is a lot more common nowadays than it ever was. Good for Eli Drake for refusing to be a part of that. But look, this is a former world champion in Eli Drake. If Eli Drake were to go out there, wrestle Tessa Blanchard and get beat by a girl, or even, go to a draw, couldn't beat her, that not only degrades him in his career, but it degrades your world title. It makes, okay, this guy was the world champion. He beat the current champion, Johnny Impact. He won that battle royal, beat a lot of guys, Eddie Edwards and stuff, defending the title. And now he loses to a girl. So, I mean, yeah, the Impact world champion couldn't even beat a female. So their knockouts title, their knockouts champion is fucking, more badass than Johnny Impact, who Eli Drake beat it at Bound for Glory. And look, honestly, it's if you're a man and you lose to a female, like Hurls was kind of touching on, who wants to job to a guy or put over a guy who got beat by Tessa Blanchard? You know what I mean? A guy who lost a woman. Like, who wants to be the next guy to wrestle Eli Drake and put him over because, hey, he can't even beat a woman. Why do I want to ruin my career and make myself look like a bitch like that? And another thing too, man, like, and I love the guy to death, Jack Evans. I saw him do the job in Lucha Underground, the ex-Alicious guy. It's like, okay, well, now you look like a guy who can't beat a guy who's pretty much is the same as a woman. It's hard, and I'm sorry, I'm not worried about being PC, man. Fuck all this shit. I'm gonna just keep it real, But like the thing that bothers me too, so he got in trouble, and the thing that started with Jordan Grace. So there was a confrontation. There's a picture up with Jordan Grace and Killer Cross where they were face to face, and Eli. Larkin, do you remember what he said exactly on this tweet or something along those lines?
Pretty much it was just, it's very... See, this right here, a 6-foot-something guy against a 5-foot whatever woman is not believable. He just pretty much... The gist of it, Raven, was that he said intergender wrestling was not believable.
I mean, look, let's be honest, man. If anyone doesn't think that if this was real, if it was a real thing, Killer Cross would not just destroy Jordan Grace, to be arrested, thrown in jail, like have charges, be a violent criminal. You're out of your fucking mind if you think Jordan Grace would have stood a chance against that guy. Eli Drake would beat the shit out of Jordan Grace. You know what I mean? It is morally wrong for a man to hit a woman in our society and look down for a reason. There are scientific and biological reasons why that is wrong. And like, I think because, women are the women's movement, which is all for it. And self-identifying as a male or a female and some other stupid shit in multiple genders in today's society that people go off of, that it's becoming more common. So Jordan Grace takes offense to the fact that Eli Drake is saying, look, a Killer Cross would fucking destroy you. So she gets all butthurt and upset and social justice warriored out and PC bullshit on it. And so that leads to her getting upset. So this is what gets Eli Drake in hot water. Apparently, so Jonathan Gresham. So what did Gresham say? Do you guys know? Apparently he got involved and stood up for his woman, right?
Be honest with you, I know he did, but I don't remember the tweets because I kind of stood out of it, to be honest with you. Hurls, do you remember?
Come on, Larkin. You had one job. I gave you
that I'm sorry, but that's not my problem, so I stood out of it. But yeah, I know he's just sticking up for his woman, whatever.
Which, we all understand that. I mean, you're gonna stand up for your woman. If my woman, if my wife were like talking shit, like she could beat up a guy or want to get in there, I'd be like, hey, babe, look, let's chill. I don't want a man beating the shit out of you, and I don't want to get into this. Killer Cross would kill her, but basically, Apparently, Gresham comes in, says something, and this leads to Eli Drake calling ROH wrestler, not Impact wrestler or anything like that, Jonathan Gresham a nobody. Now, I mean, this is like, okay, whatever going on, but this is also Eli Drake. He's a heel character, for fuck's sake, or a tweener. And who cares if he thinks Jonathan Gresham, a Ring of Honor wrestler, is a nobody? Because let's be honest, I'm not going to lie, Jonathan Gresham is pretty much a nobody in the wrestling business. He's far from a household name. That's for damn sure. So, I mean, this is what leads to it. And then, of course, you get, after the termination happened, I saw a tweet from Jordan Gray saying, like, oh, you mean to tell me that insulting your coworkers or talking bad has consequences or something along those lines? Is that kind of the gist of what she said, guys?
Spot on.
Yeah.
So he gets fired, and then she goes on Twitter and fucking rubs it in because she had a shit fit because Eli Drake said that a man would beat the shit out of her. A man, especially a man the size of Killer Cross, would beat her up. That's literally what led to him getting fired. So Eli Drake didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion. He's a victim of the social justice, politically correct, multiple gender bullshit that's in our society today that cost so many people their lives and their jobs. And I've said this stuff all over, like I said, man, and I had someone on Facebook or some shit today with like, well, you didn't see people complaining back in the ECW days when Beulah McGillicuddy would fight people or whatnot. Beulah had one match, and that was against Fonzie, who was a pussy, a manager,
a referee,
and like an 80-pound fucking meth addict. Am I right?
Well, he was also a referee, so yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Referee Belafonte in WWF, and I think he did in WCW too, but obviously in ECW. But look, Fonzie is not tough. And he was sent out there because they thought he was the mole, so to prove himself, he went out there and got the shit beaten out of him by a woman. Like in ECW and anything, like it started even with Sherry. Like you'd see women get involved or low blow or, help the guy when she was a manager. But it's not like men were full-on wrestling women. In ECW, like, a woman would get caned or fucking pile driver. ECW was different. But it was nowhere near what this person was trying to say. It's not like there was a bunch of intergender matches all the time. And it's like, that's why people didn't have a problem with it. And it was a one-time fucking thing, and it was Alfonso. It's not a wrestler. And it just... It's bothering me that so many people are like, so anti-Eli Drake and, bad-mouthing the guy for what he did because he did nothing wrong, in my opinion. And the last thing I'm going to say, man, and this really hurts me. Actually, you know what? It doesn't. But before I get to that point, what I really want to say, but in my opinion, man, like this is the one guy in the company that Impact couldn't lose. And Anthem seems to think, and I'm sure some fucking fuckboy fanboys like the CNC Bullshit Factory out here will tell you that everyone is irreplaceable and it's Impact that matters, not the wrestlers. No, eventually, when the best talent is gone and everyone is gone that's really worth the shit, the company doesn't have much to stand for. Not everyone is replaceable. And this was the one guy that they had left that they couldn't lose because this was the only person that could honestly become a megastar in this company. Because no one can cut a promo and talk the way that Eli Drake does. When Eli Drake was champion, he was on another level that no one else in this business was in any company. And that, I will stand by my life on that one. Like, he was phenomenal at that. You cannot lose this guy, and they let him go. So now, and I've said this before, they had 3 guys in this company that were so good at what they did in the promos and all that they could become a household name. The Pope, EC3, and Eli Drake. And they've lost all 3 of them. They let them go. They ruined them. And it was like a different regime or management came in or whatever and dropped the ball with all of them except for Pope. Hogan was just racist at the time. Honestly, man, I'm going to be honest too. I don't think that Impact Wrestling will ever get anyone with that caliber and that potential again to ever work for this company before. So the last fucking thing they had to get them on a TV network to start gaining records to make a star is gone, and he's not coming back. Hurls, what? Anything to add on that, man? Anything you want to say?
I mean, it's just...
Hurls, you still there?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, we're still here, Raven. Go ahead, Hurls. Say what you got to say.
Oh, yeah. It's really disappointing. It's disappointing that we lost one of the biggest, homegrown names. Because I call him homegrown because he was developed in Impact. And now, I mean, he's going to go to AEW. I hope he does his thing. And, if maybe we'll be seeing him on Turner Broadcasting.
That is true. AEW, man.
So, Larkin, anything to chime in there or add to it? And I know, and I'm not asking you guys to share my beliefs or comment that because I know, like, I said some political type of shit that some people might not want to be involved in agreeing, and that's just my comments and my thoughts alone. But I mean, Larkin, was there anything you want to chime in there?
Well, I mean, you hit it spot on with the Gresham stuff. I mean, like you mentioned, he's sticking up for his woman, the whole nine. We saw what happened on the Twitter exchange. But, I mean, with Eli Drake, I thought he really did ooze charisma, and I liked him. I thought he was very funny, and he's a hell of a talent. But, I mean, if he goes to AEW, he goes to AEW. I think it's unfortunate. But, you know, it is what it is. That's the situation. And, you know, Impact put out their thing that he's terminated. So now he's terminated. Now he's going to go somewhere else. It is what it is. It's an unfortunate situation. But I truly wish the guy nothing but the best.
I absolutely wish Eli Drake nothing but the best. And I want to thank Eli Drake for his contributions to the company, for the memories, for the great times. Man, this guy was my favorite guy in the company by far. He turned the term Jumpin' J Browns. He was a master of badassery. Golden Bookers, you were not very golden on this. You were honestly some dummies. Yeah, and that's not an insult. That's just a fact of life. And this is another fact of life, too, that this is the part that really pains me to say, man. And I mentioned this to you guys, and I know I'm upset, and it's kind of heat of the moment right now. But, look, I've been a fan, a loyal, diehard Impact TNA fan since 2002, man, since this company started. And I've been through so much bullshit with this company. We've all been through so much, and I have stayed so loyal. I bought pay-per-views when it was $10 a week on Wednesdays. You know, not every time, you know, the Asylum years, but I did at times. You know, I followed them on every TV station. I bought shirts. If you guys saw my DVD collection at TNA Product, I've spent some money for this company. I've ordered T-shirts off of Pro Wrestling Tees for them. Man, since I ordered pay-per-views sporadically, you know, throughout the years when they were, you know, once a month, but I've ordered a couple of one night only since they switched to that. I pay for the Global Wrestling Network. Every single pay-per-view since 2015 that they have put out, like a live one, I have paid for, including the one-night-only lives. I love this company, and I've been loyal to it. I don't know that I'm going to continue watching Impact. This may have been the final straw for me, and there's two reasons why. Okay, the first one, man, is like I'm so just tired of the social justice shit, the politically correctness, and the caving in and under the pressure, and that he got fired over something like this, because I don't feel like anything that he did justified for the guy to lose his job, and I'm just so fucking tired with this happening in our society, and I thought Impact was above that. This is pro wrestling, for fuck's sake. But two, man, like, there's only, like I was saying, there's only so much talent that you can keep losing. There's only so many people that they can keep going to, where it's like, I look around, and I look at the roster, and it's like, you know, we've lost... you know, Austin Aries, who was my guy. I've lost, you know, EC3, Bobby Lashley, James Storm. You know, it's like everyone that I was really invested in, everyone that I really loved in this company, you know, it seems like they're all gone now. And it's like the thing that I've always had these issues with Anthem is that it's like no one matters enough for them. Everyone is replaceable. They can all go, and it's about the brand and the name more than the talent, but that's not the case. And, you know, even go back to the Dixie and Yaburick years. I mean, remember how low morale was when Rude and EY left? I mean, I lost those guys, too. I lost Bad Influence years ago. I mean, there's only so many losses that we can have, and I look at this roster now, and it's like, you know, I love Rosemary. Rosemary is by far my favorite person on this roster now. And I love LAX, and I love Sami Callihan, but if I talk about people that I love, I'm super invested in. I mean, that's kind of it. That's end all be all. I could maybe in a way say Pentagon, but like the way that I love Pentagon is because of what happened in Lucha Underground. I don't think Impact used him as well. I mean, I do really like you know, Rich Swann and Willie Mack and Petey Williams, who they hardly use, and I like, you know, Johnny and Cage and Sue Young and Moose and Killer Cross and Eddie and Scarlett. But other than that, man, I can't tell you that there's anyone that on the roster that I'm really invested in or care about. And honestly, even the people that I like and really like, I don't have it's can't miss TV. I can go without it, you know. And it's just for those two reasons, man. I don't know that I'm going to continue watching this company and supporting them. That breaks my heart. You know, I don't know if my wrestling fan is over with officially now or not either, and I'll wait it out. I will watch these shows that Eli Drake is on to support him, but I'll tell you, there was a 0% chance I wouldn't order Rebellion. I don't think I'm going to order it anymore because of what happened. You know, I'm that pissed off, and I'm that upset, and I'm that disappointed. And I don't. You guys have anything you want to chime in? I'm sure you guys aren't as upset about this as I am, but Hurls, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I'm just kind of like numb to it because we've lost so many people in the past. So I mean, it's another one that sucks, especially when you lose your best talker on the mic. But, Impact just never put him in a meaningful feud in the last year. I mean, I like the stuff with Eddie, but that's really it. Everything else has not been... I mean, Joe Henry was funny, but guess what? Joe Henry's not even here anymore either. So, I don't know. Thank God they hired one of my favorites of all time, Rob Van Dam, or else I'd be struggling to, I don't know, find interest. I still like some things they're doing. I like the Undead Realm, but this losing Eli Drake definitely sucks because I feel like he was one of their best homegrown talents. But thank God they replenished them with some guys that I've been watching on the Twitch and One Night Only shows. That's all I can say.
I mean, Larkin, I know that you're a fan of pro wrestling all the way around. You watch pretty much every company. I mean, Hurls and I, our main thing is Impact. You know what I mean? And it's probably a little bit different and less of a blow for us. But I mean, Larkin, I'm sure you don't have the reaction that him and I do. But I mean, what's your thoughts on this overall?
Personally, I think they lost another great talent. I think that other great talent is going to shine wherever he goes now. So I think it's Impact's loss.
Yeah, I do too. And you know what? If he does get, because I'm planning on watching AEW. I want to give him a shot. I'm going to see how that goes. I find it a little bit annoying at times too, but you know what I mean? If this guy's going to go out and be the massive star that he can be, then good for AEW, and I hope it happens. Because they're the ones that are going to give the WWE competition. They're the ones that, can actually make this a big thing, that can make this guy a fucking household name, because AEW has the potential now that Impact once had, to actually become competition, to grow, to become this big thing, and Impact was close to doing at one point, but they never will again. And the other thing I want to say too, man, and we'll move on to the next subject here, but, the same thing happened with EC3. We're talking about, Eli Drake probably was going to go to AEW. He was going to leave anyways. He was unhappy. We talked about the same thing with EC3 and him packing it in. Here's my point. Do you guys think maybe, just maybe, if Impact and management and these regimes that come in actually use these people right and treated them right and booked their characters well the way that they were going when they were hot and treated well, do you maybe think they'd be more enticed to stick around with Impact?
Yes.
Because I certainly fucking do.
Yes.
I understand, when Drake re-signed was, I know it was right around the anniversary of last year because they left him off the card for a reason, which I understand, because they didn't know if he was coming back or not, and everyone was like, fuck, I hope we don't lose Eli Drake and whatnot. But after that, what they've done with the guy, they put him with Grado and Joe Henry, for fuck's sake. And you know what? I love Joe Henry. I thought the guy caught on, but it literally went nowhere. They put him these mid-card guys that were doing nothing. Joe Henry left, went nowhere. They did nothing with him. There was nothing that ever came of that. It was just a waste of Eli Drake. They started having him do these stupid open challenges. They had him fleck around with Trevor Lee and was it Conley at the time?
Yeah, Caleb Conley.
Yeah, for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, we're they go to Bound for Glory, and we're thinking everyone's helping Jericho, and it's okay, now it'll pay off, and we get Ellsworth and Abyss, and then all of a sudden he works a match with Abyss, for fuck's sake, at Homecoming, and it was decent, and Eli went out. Should have done it, and mad love to Abyss because everyone loves Abyss, and it sucks that he left and all he did for Impact. And after that, there was nothing for a little bit. They had him come out and do commentary, and then he's working this thing with Eddie Edwards. Or no, they put him and Steiner as the tag team champions for a little bit. Basically, they had nothing going on for the guy. They dropped a huge ball with what could have happened with him and Steiner, and then all of a sudden the stuff with Eddie Edwards, which is starting to get good, and it seems like this face turn with Eli that's coming might be this blessing and this huge thing that could come out of it. And it's exciting to see where it goes, but regardless of where it goes now, we're never going to know. And it's just, if Impact was using him right, which he was even talking about and all that, we might not be in the situation. And the guy who actually came out on one of those podcasts and said he was starting to have fun, it's just disappointing. I'm going to stop on the Eli Drake thing, but once again, thank you, Eli Drake, and fuck you, Impact and Anthem.
Now, I got to say this, Raven, because Hurls mentioned RVD. You want to talk about Rob Van Dam signing with Impact next?
Actually, I was going to talk about one more thing first, and then RVD was next on it.
Okay, go ahead.
But, it was the Sky D'Amore, and I'm actually going to go to you on this. So Sky D'Amore came out today and said about how Impact is trying to get a new TV deal in place by this fall. If they're able to do that, then Pursuit and possibly Twitch, we'll see other secondary programming come out and be available, like Explosion, etc. Was there any more to the original quote that you wanted to add on there, Larkin?
No, pretty much, Scott Steiner was interviewed by PW Insider following the AAA press conference, which that'll tie into what I'm going to say. Pretty much that they're looking to get on a larger platform by the fall. Pursuit Channel will have, Explosion, and then the mothership show, that being Impact, would be placed somewhere else. With that, I think it'd be good for them. You look at how Raw is and SmackDown on the USA. They're both on the networks, but I think this would be a first time, back in the day when Raw was on USA and SmackDown was on, UPN or Sci-Fi. You get to see Impact, related television programming on two different, channels with Pursuit. And, if it goes to whatever main one that they're going to go to for Impact. And then you look at the AAA side of things. If Johnny Impact's still the champ in September, he'll be the first ever Impact champion ever step foot in Madison Square Garden. So there's a lot of positivity and plus this that goes to look at on the plus side. So Hurls, let them know.
It's cool news. I'm excited to see what comes of that Madison Square Garden show. I'm excited that they're looking at a new TV deal, because the one we got now, for me, it's fine, but they got to get on a better channel. There's just no question about it. And I also like the fact that they're supposedly getting more aggressive in advertising and possibly going out to get higher name talent. So that obviously means they're making more money now. So that's a good thing. I do have a lot of faith in Don Callis and Scott D'Amore as far as their business practices go. And for a lot of their decisions, they've been pretty positive, I think. We had the Eli Drake stuff and maybe a few other hiccups, but for the most part, I think they definitely are on the right track. And adding more pay-per-views, always a good thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see where all this stuff goes.
Obviously we all want them to get a better channel, and I know I'm salty towards Impact right now at the moment, but I've loved this company, been loyal to it, I've had a lot of emotional investment towards them as well. So here's my question to you guys too, and I'm going to make a point on it here in a minute. And Hurls, you said you trust Callis and D'Amore in their business and all that, and I had too until the past month, because there's been two huge decisions. Other than Eli Drake, there's one other thing which I'll get into in a sec that has made me question that. But the question I'm going to ask is, realistically, do we think that another TV deal is going to happen? Do you think they'll get a different network or channel? Because I'll be 100% honest with you guys, I don't at all.
I'll go on this one first. I don't. I think that they're satisfied with being on Pursuit, since Anthem owns Pursuit, and they go in the internet-oriented direction of just being on Twitch at 10 p.m. Eastern on a Friday night, and showing the replay on Monday and showing Explosion on Wednesday. I think they're just very internet-oriented right now, and I think they're kind of they're satisfied, and they're kind of contempt is the word I'd like to add there, with just being on Twitch. Go ahead, Earls.
I disagree wholeheartely. I think they are not content. I think they are trying to ramp up their business practices as much as they can. They were in obviously a big hole. They're coming out of that hole now. They're starting to do more shows. They're talking about doing less tapings than what they're doing now. I think they're doing about 4 impacts, because I think they're doing 2 nights, so they're doing about 4 impacts per taping, while they're talking about doing even less than that. So I don't think they are anywhere near content with what they're doing. I think they are going to try to get on a better network. I think Pursuit is only the safety net that they have until they get that better network. I do think they will get on a better network eventually. I don't know if it's going to be by the fall, but I think relatively soon they will be on a better network.
And just to add what Hurls said, I hear him on that, but you were talking about tapings. I know they're going to be in Philly soon, right? Because, May 3rd, May 4th, they're going back to Philly, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, they're looking to go to different places and expand, and I think it'll happen, very soon. I know they're going to try by the fall, and I really do hope, but I just think right now it's just, we got this Twitch, and we can show the replay on Monday on 6 p.m. Eastern, and then Wednesday we get Explosion at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I think they're content for now, but obviously, there's room for growth, and they want to get better. So I adhere to what Hurls has to say as well. There's a lot of different, points of view you can go with that. So go ahead, Raven.
Yeah, I don't think they're content per se to stay there by any means at all. Let's be honest, man. They're on a terrible
time slot.
It is network, and on a Friday night of all time, on a terrible time slot up against both MLW and Impact. on the shittiest network, they can't even get a better day than Fred. They like Impact gets the boot on something owned by Anthem. Like, we're gonna give you this terrible time slot because fucking hunting and fishing with Billy Bob on Wednesday night is too important to give up. It's time slot or whatever. I don't think that they can get one, to be honest. And the marketing thing, that's great. I've been screaming and crying for that for years for them to do. And I mean, literally like a decade now, I'm saying Impact needs to market themselves better. But let's be honest, man, we can see the Twitch viewers, you know, and whatever the replays or stuff that they get on Mondays or Tuesdays, you know, with Global Wrestling Network, that's one thing. But the max we've seen is 15,000 people. Mm-hmm. That's nothing. I don't know what they get on Pursuit, but I doubt it's more than Twitch or a whole lot more if it is. You know, I don't think they're getting more than 40,000 views on a Friday night. I honest to God don't. So I don't know what network is going to see that and be like, wow, that's exciting. We want a show that brings in that small amount of viewership. So and I don't know who the fuck they're gonna get it. What is it? Is it WGN? I'm sorry, I know you're trying to talk, Larkin. Sure. Is it WGN that has is it Ring Warriors or Ringside Warriors or whatever?
So Ring Warriors was on WGN. That's a great point. I was going to mention that. It was on at 7 or 8 a.m. I think 8 a.m. on Saturdays. It was like a Saturday morning wrestling, but now it's on like Amazon and Hulu Plus.
But before we even talk about Ring Warriors, though, Ring Warriors is paid programming.
Exactly, so it's taped.
Like,
great.
It's not like they're actually on WGN. They're paying to be on WGN.
Correct. Charles is right about that. Charles is right. So what I was going to say is, so when you look at the Twitch viewers, like you could see them, like you mentioned, the one week that they were very proud, you know, with the 15,000, their highest ever on Twitch. I mean, I looked at it as I was watching, you know, I watched TakeOver, then I went over to Impact, and I saw there was like 5,000 people watching it. So, like, gross, I think there was like 9,000 for 1 week, then they go back to like 5,000, 7,000, 8,000. So it fluctuates, but yeah, the highest, like you mentioned, Raven, has been like 14,000 people.
Yeah. And I mean, the following week after that, their numbers dropped by like 9,000. I was pissed as fuck at everyone because they put on a good show the night that they had that 15,000 too. I was really mad at the fan base and called them out, but. And the thing, too, and this is the point that I was trying to get at, man, is that this company, so you want to get yourselves on a better network, right? You want to do this, you want to do that, and all that. Here's two things that you've done that you never should have if that's your main goals. For one, you shouldn't have got rid of your most marketable piece, the guy that should be the face of the company, the guy that can cut the promo, the guy that can talk better than anyone else in the industry. You let go of Eli. And let's be honest, man, that's a good-looking man. That's a movie star good-looking guy in Eli Drake, too. There's a lot of marketing in him. But the other thing that you did wrong that, you talk about popularity, people to tune in, give them a reason, is there's one huge feud with one of your other biggest stars in the company. Her name is Rosemary, that you just pissed away. That everyone, and I mean every one of your viewers, has been expecting and wanting to see because there's something special, and that's Rosemary and Allie. And they got rid of Allie to say that they didn't want her back. They said to freshen up the roster. They didn't want Allie. Allie, who's been one of the most over girls since she started, there is so much still left to do with her because that entire Rosemary and Allie feud still hadn't been done, and that's what everyone wanted to see. And it blows my mind to think we had Allie and Rosemary for 2.5 years in the same company, and we never got the feud, never got a single match. Granted, Rosemary's been hurt for a while. That's nobody's fault, and there's stuff they couldn't have done there. But to say that there's nothing more for Allie, creative has nothing for you, what the fuck? Really? Because that's huge things that people want to tune in for. Gone. You don't get that opportunity. And this is what I want to chime into too, man, and I'm sorry for going on a little tangent, right? But I want to call some motherfuckers out on this. So when this news came out, man, I want to talk about these bitches on Twitter and these Impact fanboys and salty motherfuckers and all. You know, our good buddy FK9 comes up and keeps it real and says, you mean to tell me that, basically he says, it's crazy that they, wanted to freshen up the Knockouts roster and whatnot, but they bring back Madison Rayne, who literally there's nothing more Madison Rayne can do in Impact, and Gail Kim to come out of retirement, which I know, look, I feel differently about Gail Kim than the FK9 does, and I'm excited for Gail versus Tessa. But to get rid of Allie, who's been the most over knockout, who has still so much to go, that's terrible business. So I'm going to be honest, this guy, I'm not going to shout out his name, but it rhymes, basically it rhymes with the word that I'm going to call. I'm just going to call him what he is. It's cunted. It rhymes with the word cunted because that's what he is. This guy literally, so he calls out FK9, talks about him being miserable, calls him like can't remember, but calls FK9 a bunch of names, cyberbullying the guy, to be honest with you. And FK9 has been through a lot this past year with breaking any guys in a shitty living situation. This apartment too is not doing the best. So I see it and I stand up for my boy and say, you know what? What's wrong with him having an opinion? He's still an Impact fan. He still tunes in. He's you know what I mean? Stop, and his opinion is right. So this guy literally, man, goes nuts, calling us a fake fan, calling out the HeelCast, talking shit, talking about my like ex-wife leaving me. Like the guy was like literally goes on this obsessed rant. But basically, when I call him out and say the same thing he does for FK9, he actually goes and gets me blocked, and then goes on this tangent talking shit about everyone on the HeelCast. Was bad mouthing us, saying we're super negative, and literally was like saying all the stuff he said was what Chef had been saying, who hasn't been on our show in like a year. And you know, it's these people like this that bother me, man. Like, it is okay, and I want to make this point. It is okay to have an opinion or give constructive criticism or not like everything that Impact Wrestling does. You can still be a fan. It does not mean that you're not a fan or you don't support them. So, I mean, but this content guy is so miserable, man. Like, all he does is go off and talk shit about other fans, call people faggots, call people cunts, and just the most miserable person. He's showing off his little mighty micro arms, trying to be tough, and he's definitely got the little dick syndrome. You can tell by the yellow on his back and other places. And then there's like the Death Spray, who's literally just the black version of him. Just these two miserable people that it's like anytime someone leaves Impact, they talk shit on the wrestler. You know, like they never wanted him or respected him anyways. Just going so hard to try and bash the Impact fans and the talent there, and just start these wars with AEW and so negative towards everything. You guys need to stop being so miserable. It is okay to have that life. So, I mean, I just want to say thanks for getting me blocked on Twitter or whatever, suspended on Twitter for just being honest and doing what you do. So I just want people to know about him. If you're one of his 80-something followers, that's the kind of guy it is. And, you know, there's the CNC bullshit factory out there that, you know, anything Impact does, they still kiss their ass and tell them how great they are. Guys, as a fan, that doesn't help the company grow. It doesn't help the company do everything. It's okay to still be a fan and be constructive criticism-wise, and I just want to point that out there. But Diamore and Scott Callis and all that, you need to listen to your fan base, too, if you ever want to grow. So, anyways, but fuck those 4 people on Twitter. Hurls, buddy, you've been quiet, man. What's up?
I mean, what else can I say? I mean, these guys just, I think maybe I used to be like that a little bit, but I can't defend every single move that Impact does, and to go after fans for just having their own opinion, it's just nuts. Like, you're just setting a bad precedent for the rest of the fan base. So definitely don't. I try to not be a fan like that. I think everybody has an opinion, but I think you should be at least somewhat unbiased with that opinion. Sure, we all have our biases, but you got to be objective as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, Hurls, no one's ever going to question Hurls on his Impact fan base at all. I mean, Hurls loves him some Impact. Become the Impact lawyer. He'll defend what Anthem and Impact does and all that. These two little fanboy fuckboys, I mean, it's the CVE and the double C. These guys slurp Impact. I mean, they've called you like a troll or something, Hurls, for saying like Impact didn't pull like 5,000 people in attendance or some shit.
Yeah,
it's just you know, these. It is okay. You're still a fan. It's okay to be critical. Like, my 49ers are not a good football franchise. I've been loyal to them since I was 5 years old, man, and I always will to the day I die. Just because I'm upset and whatnot doesn't mean that I'm not a fan, that I'm not loyal, that I'm not diehard, that I don't support. But honestly, I mean, yeah, right now I don't know. I'm not that. I'm not the way that I always have been in the past. But I just want to call those motherfuckers out. And Callis and Diamore and Ed Nordholm, you need to check and listen to your fan base because you're fucking up. So, Larkin, I doubt it's probably nothing you're planning to get into, but is there anything you want to chime in before we go to that RVD story?
Pretty much, and just, I guess, congratulations to Impact on the international deal. I think that's awesome for them with the UK and Ireland.
Wherever that came from, but all right, good job, Impact.
I mean, whatever. Try to put a positive spin on that. Go ahead.
Right. No, I know. And let's get us some positivity here. I'll try to, at least. It's so... Look, Rob Van Dam, the whole effing show, the whole fucking show, in my opinion, one of the most underrated all-time greats in the history of pro wrestling, is made his return at United We Stand on this past Thursday. He's going to be sticking around with Impact for a little bit. Larkin, I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, first, man, before we get into the RVD quotes, just what was your first reaction when you heard that Van Dam came back?
I've always been a Rob Van Dam fan since the ECW days, the WWE days, when his first run in TNA, when he won the world title off of AJ Styles. I like Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam's cool.
Hurls?
He's definitely one of the best of all time. I was a huge fan of his. I was so happy when he won the title in WWE for the first time, and then when he came over to TNA, though, it was kind of a different story because I just thought he was kind of pushed a little too quickly, but it didn't mean I didn't like watching him because he was still Rob Van Dam. I'm very excited that they got him. They needed a bigger name. They really did. And you can argue how much he helps Impact. He definitely ain't hurting Impact, especially when they need noticeable names. So I'm a fan, and heck, his new T-shirt just came on shopimpact.com, and I'll probably be ordering it possibly Friday. So that's how that's how I feel about Rob Van Dam, at least.
So, my thoughts on RVD, man, is for one, I think he, as far as all-time greats and legends and whatnot, this guy's a Hall of Famer, like a legit real Hall of Famer. One of the all-time greats in wrestling. I'm not talking like top 10, 20, but he's definitely up there when you talk about, the biggest names and best, just overall. I'm not saying he's Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, whatever, but he's there. You know what I mean? He was, when, in my opinion, Rob Van Dam and ECW had the best as a mid-card title. He has the best mid-card championship reign of literally anyone in any company's history ever. He made the ECW television title feel just as relevant and important as the ECW world title, which is, I don't think anyone else has ever done that before. The guy's been a world champion in WWE, ECW, and TNA. After the buyout of ECW and WCW, well, not necessarily ECW buyout, but when Van Dam finally came over to the WWF at the time, in that invasion angle, man, RVD was the most over guy in that roster. He went to, I think it was Unforgiven. It was him against Austin and Kurt Angle for the WWF title. And RVD was by far the most over guy in that company. They should have pulled the trigger right there and made him the star. But victim of Vince's thing, where Vince is basically back then, unless it was, and it took RVD, Booker T, and Mysterio a while to get to the points that they did. But basically, if you didn't jump ship from WCW or ECW to WWF prior to that closeout, like he treated you like shit. I mean, like DDP, for fuck's sake. RVD was definitely a victim of that unfairly. It took him a long time, but when he finally got that world title win over, John Cena and became the ECW and WWF champion or WWE champion, that was awesome. Huge moment. Obviously, smoking that reefer took it away from him just a couple weeks later, but when he came into Impact, man, I had no problem with him becoming the champ. This was RVD, one of the biggest names ever. Came out, stole the show. You're trying to get eyes on the product and more people in there. Soccer Mom Styles is still crying about RVD not hooking the leg when he pinned him that first night, even though, I'll be honest, I've seen so many Van Dam matches, I don't think I've ever seen him hook the leg after the 5-star frog splash. But, the second half of his TNA stint was a little bit half-assed, and that's what everyone complains and cries about. But when I heard this, man, I wasn't that upset at all. I don't think that he's going to bring a single extra viewer to the product at all, to be honest with you, especially not at this stage in his career. But, Hurls, you said he can't hurt Impact at all coming in. But right when you say that, Larkin, I'm going to cue it up to you. We got 2 RVD quotes from the weekend. I just want you to read these to us here.
Okay, so he was interviewed, and he was asked why he signed a new contract with Impact Wrestling, and RVD was very clear in what he said. He said, money. Who has enough money? I am not looking to be extra busy, and I enjoy chilling at home. But when a deal is right, then the deal is right. That was the first quote he said. Then the second.
Hey, Larkin, real fast. Sorry to cut you off, man. I don't know if you're gonna say, but this part about busting his ass, he's done that, and like now you get RVD if you pay enough or something. Were you getting to that point, or did that get mentioned out of that?
I'm about to get there, Raven.
Sorry, man. I thought you were skipping to the other one. My apologies.
That's all right. He also explained that Scott D'Amore was pivotal in making the deal come together. He was talking to me, and at first it was one match. When I agreed to that match, I didn't know there was Impact. I knew I was talking to Scott D'Amore, but I didn't know all he does. Then when I got the contract, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Then he started talking about doing future dates. People think I'm super select about my bookings, but my standards are a lot higher than everyone else's. They're trying to get out there and work their asses off. I already did that. I work hard to not work hard, so when people meet my fee, then I come out of the house. Impact is taking care of RVD, or I wouldn't be there.
So that comment, man, it can go one of two ways, and it's hard for one if you're not there to hear it and to not elaborate on it. It can be taken either one or two ways. So, the first way, which is the way that I hope it means, is basically he's saying I busted my ass my whole career to where I don't have to work. I don't have to rely on paydays to go out. I won't take just anything. But if you pay me enough, or you get the money right, I'm going to come out and I'm going to give you a show and I'm going to bust my ass because you know what I mean? If that sounds right. But the other thing, too, that could come off is, I busted my ass. I'm not into doing that anymore. You're paying me enough money, so I'll show up. It kind of it can be taken two ways, and a part of me thought when I first heard it, like, okay, so in other words, like, you're going to get the half-assed Rob Van Dam that we got the second half of his TNA stint originally. And for him to say, man, when you're a former world champion of a company that you didn't even know that they were still around, that's pretty burying them, you know. And if he's going to half-ass it and not make it seem like the company's that important, I don't think he's going to do any benefit and possibly even damage it. But Hurls, I mean, you're the one that's been on it here. Your thoughts on these comments and all that, and then we'll have Larkin kind of wrap it up there.
I think it was kind of taken out of context for a good headline, but I mean that's how I'm perceiving it. I'm just thinking like he didn't know Scott D'Amore was in Impact. I don't know if it necessarily means Impact. He didn't know if Impact was around. As far as like, you know, more people watching the product, I don't think he's going to bring a ton, but I think he's going to at least bring a few because I've been seeing the comments on the Impact page and just various wrestling pages where some people said they gotta tune in now to see him because they want to see him. So I do think he'll get some viewers. Never underestimate the power of nostalgia. Also, I don't know. I'm excited to see how they're going to use him. I think there's a lot of different ways they could go with this. Obviously, he's got to do something with the Rascals. Like that's just a given. But
yes, like that way.
Yeah, exactly. Me personally, I would like to see him and maybe Sabu go in the tag team division. I'd be fine with that because, you know, it's always good to have a really strong tag team division. So why not?
I will add to that. Imagine if they do the parallel of his 2010 first reign. He wins the title within 2 months. He beats Johnny Impact for that title.
I don't think so.
Me either, but I'm just saying. Imagine
I don't think they're bringing him in to win. Well, if he wins the title, I think I wouldn't mind seeing him win the X Division title, maybe.
Which he was before.
Tag team titles, but world title, I don't know. It would have to be. We'll see if it happened, but I think right now tag team and X Division.
And I mean, you can have him have great matches with the likes of Killer Cross or Johnny Impact or Moose's. I mean, so there's opponents for Rob's. I mean, I'm okay with it. You know, let's see what happens in nostalgia fact, like Hurls said. Like you, Raven. I'm sorry, man.
Well, you know, I just want to say one last thing too. I mean, RVD. You know, you got to do something with the Rascals. I mean, that's a given. Almost like how you, Larkin, are going to get sponsored by Lane Bryant and Torrid pretty soon. But you know, I digress.
Lane Bryant, they love them some Larkin, man. Larkin promotes their shoppers big time. You know, man, like, if sign me up to see RVD against Johnny Impact. You know, I want to see that match. Now, should RVD go over? Not by any means. Do I ever want to see Rob Van Dam win that world title? Like, man, let's just be honest. Even if he does give his full effort, this is a very much older and at the past Rob Van Dam. He should not be going over people like that. I mean, remember when Mick Foley won the title from Sting and people were shitting on that, which I don't shit on at all. But Mick Foley on the level of massive and megastar in wrestling is triumphs Rob Van Dam's by a lot kind of thing. I don't want to see him as the X Division champion either. I mean, if he's in a tag team or whatever, wins a tag team title, you know, that's one thing. If the partner's right, I don't want to see him and Sabu be tag team champions because they should not be beating LAX or Lucha Brothers or even OVE for that matter. But you know, it depends how they use the guy. I know it's not going to be full time and whatnot, but I just don't want to see him go over the roster the way that they kind of did with some other former WWE or bigger names in the past. But I digress. We'll see how it goes here, and we'll get RVD and Impact here coming up in a couple weeks. Obviously, he started those tapings, so we will not see him on Rebellion, which kind of disappoints me. But we'll see how it goes from there. So a couple other things. For those of you that maybe haven't checked out the Homecoming pay-per-view yet and didn't pay the $40 and didn't find a stream afterwards or whatnot, it is now available on the Global Wrestling Network. I noticed that as of today. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have anything to say on that. I can just go to the next story.
Nah, that's awesome. Check out Homecoming.
Yeah, it was fun event.
It was. Lucha Brothers and LAX, I think, stole the show that night, and Cage and Johnny had a very good match, but it was a fun show. So we got a new, speaking of the tag team division, we just got a new tag team. And people can get mad at me all they want. Looks like a very knockoff-ish comedic version of the Briscoes, but if you remember former Knockouts champion Cody Deaner, Cody Deaner is returning with a guy who apparently goes by Jake something on the Indies. They're known as, are they being called the Deaners or the Deaner brothers or something?
Yeah, Cody and Jake Deaner, and Jake something is the boyfriend of WWE superstar Ruby Riott.
All right, so a new tag team. I do feel like it's kind of a poor man's comedic version of the Briscoes. Hurls, I know you're excited about it. I don't have much to say, man. I thought Cody Deaner was a joke and a bum when he was in there, but I mean, he was funnier and played his character better than I expected. But when we're talking about losing Eli Drake and having Cody Deaner and shit come on the roster, it doesn't excite me. But I'll take your guys' word on it. But Hurls, your thoughts on the Deaners, because I know you're excited.
Yeah, I am. I mean, Cody Deaner, he was a character. We saw him in 2009, that whole year, with the ODB stuff. Yeah, throw that out the window. He's still a character. Don't get me wrong, but if you watch his matches from that point to now, there's just no comparing. I mean, think about it. It's 10 years ago now. That was 2009, right? I mean, Cody Deaner.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's 10 years ago. So he's a much more polished wrestler now, and the fact that they're going to actually have him in competitive matches and not just use him as a joke, I'm looking forward to that. And Jake something, this guy, another guy I've been talking up. It's almost like Impact reads my mind when they sign talent. But Jake something, well, he's going to be going by Jake Deaner here. He's 6'4", 250, and he's a big guy. He can work real well. I was very impressed with him. I mean, anybody really from BCW, I've been really impressed. I think BCW's been knocking it out of the park. So I'm really excited to have another tag team and one that can actually go. No offense to the Desi Hit Squad, but I'm much more excited for these guys to come in.
All right, so to add to that, Jake's something hell of a talent. I've seen him as well, Hurls. Cody Deaner, he did some work in the original GFW. He's a Jeff Jarrett guy. Dude, he's gotten a lot better than his tenure in 2009. Jake something's a hell of a talent, so it should be very interesting, and also with the addition of Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. So, more added to the tag division.
Man. Look, it's crazy to think that's 10 years, man. An entire decade passed. 10 years, time flies. And I'm sure he has improved. I'm going to take your guys' word for it. I'll watch into these guys with an open mind. And, I trust the opinion of Larkin and Hurls. So we'll see how it goes. I will probably be open to giving Impact a chance to watch it. But right now, my butthole is pretty sore from this. So, and Hurls, I know you said... no offense to the Desi Hit Squad, but I just want to say all offense to the Desi Shit Squad. You guys suck, and you guys are on TV now on Impact, but Eli Drake isn't, so fuck you. Moving on. So, look, man, we had United We Stand, and that took place it was the kickoff to a big weekend, and we're getting into something I normally don't talk about on the show. It was WrestleMania weekend. Now, the previous two WrestleManias, I actually have watched because I've been doing the show, the HeelCast. It's been Sundays both the past 2 years for 34 and 33, and I thought they were complete garbage. But I do watch the WWE Hall of Fame every year because that actually means a lot to me. I'm a lifetime wrestling fan. I love the 80s and the 90s stuff, and ECW and WCW guys get brought in. My favorite wrestler of all time is Bret the Hitman Hart, and that was some crazy stunning shit to see go on Saturday night to see the Nebraskan fan who attacked Bret Hart. If you somehow listen to HeelCast, I want you to know I hope you fucking rot in hell. You're a piece of shit and a douchebag. But did you guys? I showed you guys a video, man, and that should just blow your mind too, man. What the fuck is wrong with people?
So with this guy, we found out that he actually got arrested earlier in the year for stalking, and I think he's going to go to jail for years now. And personally, Dash Wilder getting a shot in. You got Travis Brown, the husband of Ronda Rousey, got involved there.
Yeah.
Yes, David Hart Smith. Dude, it was crazy. It was nuts. And personally, that guy got an ass whooping that he needed. Go ahead, Hurls.
Yeah, it wasn't Teddy Hart, actually, Hurls. I don't know if you realize that, Hurls, because I know you told me you thought it was Teddy Hart. It turned out it was D.H. Smith.
Yeah, I thought I saw both of them in there, but I could be wrong. I'd have to replay that again. But it wouldn't surprise me if both of them were there, since they're both in MLW and they would have been in the neighborhood. But I thought it was insane. Why attack Bret the Hitman Hart out of all the people just because you thought you could get a shot in? I just don't understand that. That guy deserved what happened to him. I don't know. If I was Dash Wilder, I probably wouldn't have got the free shot in on him. But, it is what it is. But I hope that guy, I don't know, goes to an insane asylum. We got to bring some insane asylums back in this country because there are certain people that need to be there.
I mean, they're right.
And I think Spud pretty much said it best. Pay no attention to that man. Let's get this, let's get this.
I really bring up the... I'm sorry, can you guys hear me? I feel like I'm cutting out right now.
No, you cut out a little bit. You're back, man. I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about Spud also doing his thing, paying no attention to that man.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, too. Is that the reason I really brought it up is because there's some Impact guys there. So, I mean, Booker T, formerly of TNA Impact, his tag team, him and his brother Harlem Heat went into it. Jim the Animal Neidhart, who had an appearance for Impact years ago as he defeated Jay Lethal, which I've been very critical about. But that Bret Hart situation, man, is our boy Rockstar Spud just handled that shit like a boss. The way he just came out and said, don't pay attention to this man. Focus on the speech. Let's get back to it. I love and miss Spud. I wanted to shout that out there. Bret Hart's still my favorite of all time. The way that Bret and the Tag handled that, and Bret, I don't know if you guys saw this speech. Basically, he's right after that happened.
Raven?
It's the right thing to do, or the moment was right. Just not so, man. Amateur MMA fight. What's up, man?
Oh, no, I was just saying, you cut out a little. You're good. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, sorry about that. So, and the other reason why I bring up WrestleMania, man, is if we talk about the greatest of all time, you better mention him. Kurt Angle wrestled his very final match at WrestleMania. And I gave WrestleMania a chance this year. I was actually, as much of a joke as I think it is, it took 40 years to have a black WWE champion. And Kofi Kingston is a mid-carder at best, but he's their champ, and just how much of a disgrace it was. But that match was great. Kurt Angle, man, I gave it a chance. I was actually kind of enjoying WrestleMania until that match happened, and it put a taste in my mouth so bad that I turned it off, and I refused to ever even give WrestleMania a shot again. So Kurt Angle goes out there, and I don't know much about this Baron Corbin guy, but this is a guy who is in a fucking t-shirt and skinny jeans. And, man, this was the shittiest Kurt Angle match I've ever seen for one. It was quick. Like, Triple H's god-awful intro was, like, longer than this match, the Kurt Angle's very last match. And I mean, basically, it just seemed like all Angle ever did was do the German suplexes. It seemed like all the offense he ever got. And then he went and did the stupid moonsault attempt, missed it. Got his finisher, got pinned clean, and I mean, if you look at the fans' reaction and the crowd and all, everyone just looked like this is fucked up and bullshit, and it was fucked up and bullshit, and it disgusted me to see that they gave Kurt Angle his way out like that, and I mean, basically, they copied this Kurt Angle farewell thing exactly to the T, the way that it happened in Impact. They had him just face two former TNA guys. They didn't really give him anyone special. I don't even know if he beat Styles or Joe. But it was basically, man, he comes out there, has this garbage match, gets beat clean by this guy who literally should have never have to get. Man, it just was really disgusting and tasteless, and I felt so bad for Kurt, and he had to get on the mic and say it's been a hell of a ride and all. Hurls, I know you watched WrestleMania because I know you're a big WWE guy. It's your favorite thing in the world, but I mean, dude, how did you feel about this, man?
Yeah, it was awful. That was the best they could do for his farewell match. I mean, the guy was there for 6 years, and he gave you some of the best matches of WWE history, and the best you could do was Baron Corbin. I just thought that was terrible. But, that's what WWE does. They crap on a lot of wrestlers. You really have to be in tight with the McMahons, or else you're just not going to – you're going to be treated like crap, and this is what happened here. I just thought it was just poor taste. It was poorly done. And Baron Corbin, I don't care what they say. As much as they want to try to push that guy, he just does not have it.
All right. So I'm not the biggest Baron Corbin fan. I thought the whole thing sucked too. But personally, knowing Kurt Angle and the fact that he's put over guys like Jay Lethal and all the young talents, I wasn't shocked that he did. He did.
I know you're not as.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is, too? I'm not as sour because I understood it. I was upset because, well, the problem was he's a young guy, and I knew Kurt Angle likes to put over the young guys and like the young talents. And then they killed two birds with one stone because the next night on Raw he got his revenge back on Baron Corbin, and then Lars Sullivan from NXT came out and took out Kurt Angle. So he helped elevate a young talent, and he got his revenge on Baron Corbin. So I wasn't shocked with it, but personally, a lot of people want to see Kurt Angle and Cena. I would have liked to see that as well because the parallels of Cena was Angle's first match, and now Cena's Kurt Angle's last match. So I mean. I'm mixed emotions, but personally I did not like it, and I was not the biggest Baron Corbin fan. I was kind of like every fan that you saw in that arena at WrestleMania. I was like meh about it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't know much about this guy, but I don't think it made the guy at all. I think the match sucked. It was the worst Kurt Angle match I've ever seen, and in my opinion, Kurt Angle's a top 5 of all time, and I felt terrible for the guy, but you know what? Props to you, Kurt Angle, for having a great career, for being a man about that and putting the guy over and getting the mic and going out like a true champion and professional that you are. So, best of everything to you, Kurt. Is he still sticking around? Like, is he still going to be the GM or whatever the fuck he is over there, Larkin?
Personally, I'll be honest with you, dude. I think he's done. But as far as working with him, I could see him as a coach or a backstage.
Not so fast.
Okay.
Not so fast. He signed a new. I think it was like a 2-year deal, a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. Yeah, he's going to be like a manager or a GM, something of that.
I was going to say like a coach or something too. He can help with the, or an agent or something, or a coach. Okay, all right. I wasn't done yet, Hurls. Jeez. All right, good.
All right. Well, look, we're done with the news and all now. I know it took way longer than I ever expected. So anyone still listening to this show, thank you for sticking with us. Now we're going to hop into United We Stand. Now this was the first event of WrestleMania weekend. It happened on a Thursday, and this was the first of terrible taste put into my mouth by Impact Wrestling this weekend. I paid $20 for this show, and the first two things to say about it that really stood out. Not only one did I think that this show fucking sucked, and I felt literally, even though it was only $20, I feel like I was ripped off. But the two main things with this, too, that stood out right off the bat is, for one, like, at first when I turned on, I just got the United We Stand emblem. I'm thinking, like, fuck this. God damn it. Like, I don't trust this. It was the first time I went off of Fight Network and off my TV, and we just moved, and we're using, like, this internet, because we share Wi-Fi with the neighbors and whatnot. We're using an extender, and it hasn't been doing the best, and it's been a little bit ghetto and frustrating for me. But, I'm thinking it's fucked up on our end. No, it was the horrible, literally embarrassing production that happened with Impact. We had audio cutting out the first, 2 matches, and then all of a sudden it's like they drowned out the crowd or muted the crowd a little bit, and then they played the music, or like the entrance music, and I don't even think it was most people's normal entrance music, just so fucking loud that it was played over everything. It was just an embarrassment to see, and it was so second rate and low brow, and it's like this went from a free show to everyone had to pay $20, but literally this was less quality than the free shows. And the second, how like there's midget wrestling, and like they'll come to just punish shows, and all of a sudden there will be midget wrestling in some arena where people show up to and watch, and it's like you laugh and go home or whatnot. It seems like they built the midget ring there, and then Impact was like, no, don't worry about taking it down, we'll just use it for this show. The ring was small, the production was shit, and it totally hampered not only I feel the performances of the wrestlers, and it was noticeable with RVD, but it just that made the matches nowhere near as good with the small ass ring. Larkin, did you see this and feel the same?
I did. I mean, to be honest with you, the audio sucked. Just the production was shit. I'll be honest with you. And as someone who has seen a lot of Jersey All Pro Wrestling at that Rahway Rec Center go down. Oh my God! But yeah, it was what it was. It was a Twitch show that was $20. That's it. It was fine. I'm sure we'll talk about the action. But go ahead, Hurls.
Yeah. It was Twitch. They use Twitch. They use Twitch. Basically, what they do on Twitch shows, this is what they did here. This is the production they do on Twitch shows all the time. They're always having audio issues on these Twitch shows. They're always having issues where, you can only hear the commentators and not much else, or sometimes you can barely hear the commentators, but you can only hear the crowd. A lot of times you'll hear the audio, the entrance music go straight through your feed, so really all you're hearing is the entrance music. And as far as your question earlier, Raven Effect, about the music, I think it was all pretty much the same. You might be talking about some of the wrestlers that aren't on Impact, like Katie Forbes and whatnot, but Yeah, it was just, I mean, that's why this thing, that's why Anthem Impact dude was so pissed about this going from free to 20. Because clearly they did not bring the truck. They didn't bring the production truck at all. They left it at home, and they basically charged us for a free Twitch show.
Yeah. And no, I mean, did you guys feel the same way that the ring was noticeably smaller and it hampered the performances of the wrestlers, or was that just me?
I did notice it was small. I did see the botched Rolling Thunder that you were talking about,
Yeah.
Raven, yeah. So, I mean, it was what it was, So, go ahead, Earls.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it was smaller for sure. I still got some enjoyment out of some of the matches, but it was definitely smaller, and I think some of the wrestlers were unprepared for it.
And the other thing, too, man, is with the crowd. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, the crowd was hot, you just couldn't tell because the audio issues and whatnot. It sounded really like the Impact Zone, where sometimes you could hear a pin drop. I mean, I would notice at times you could hear the crowd going or whatnot, but, I've heard some let's be honest, the people that I've heard this term are some really big Impact marks, kind of like the CNC Bullshit Factory or Cunning or the black version of him, or, gosh, I can't remember the other person's name that saw it, but I don't think by any means that the crowd was hot. It was probably better than it came out, and it was probably better than the Impact Zone. And I'll give the crowd the benefit of the doubt. It's 11 p.m. on a fucking Thursday night that you're starting the show for the people in attendance there. For me, it was 8 p.m., but, Eastern time zone, it's 11. I don't feel that the crowd was that into it. It was a decent-sized crowd, I would say, but I don't feel that it was the props that the Impact fanboys are giving it. But, I mean, what do you guys think of the crowd? Do you think it was hot, or it was just ruined by the audio, or do you think it was just meh, or what?
It was okay. Go ahead, Earls.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they definitely had chance. It wasn't like they were, quiet the whole night, but there was a few chants that broke out, but I just feel like in between the chants, there wasn't, like, from what we were hearing, there wasn't much. Now, we weren't there, so we're not going to know and we're also not going to know because Impact had audio issues, so you really can't tell per se, but watching it seemed like they weren't fully invested.
So yeah, you're right. I don't think they were fully invested. Now, let's hop into the review. Now, I'll be honest, man. I think I was more excited, or just as excited, for United We Stand as I was for Rebellion to go into it. To be honest, I had such high expectations. My wife is not a wrestling fan. I have been, kind of having her watch Impact. She's been getting into it a little bit and enjoying it with me. So, I was hyping it up, and I was excited to have my wife sit down and watch a full Impact pay-per-view with me for the first time. Very disappointing, but, we kicked it off with the Ultimate X match. Now, Johnny Impact, the Impact World Champion, refused to be on Team Impact, so he goes into this Ultimate X match where the winner gets the eventual X Division title shot at some point when they want one. I feel going into it like Johnny Impact has to fucking win this match. Now, prior to him being in it, when they first announced the lineup, I was like, God damn, Jack Evans better win this. That's what I want to win. Jack Evans was a no-show on the match. He got replaced by someone, I can't remember the name of it, and I don't care to. But do either of you guys know what happened with Jack Evans?
I think they said Coda Brazil was at a show. I don't know what happened with Jack Evans, but I know they inserted Ace Austin into it last minute.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I cannot stand Ace Austin. But anyways, Hurls, any thoughts on Jack Evans not showing up? Were you disappointed as fuck like I was?
Oh, yeah, I was disappointed for both of them because I wanted to see... I got Chef hyping up Coto Brazil to me, and Jack Evans, we've seen him in Ultimate X matches. He does some spectacular things in there. So, yeah, I was definitely disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Jack Evans fan, so I was excited. I've been wanting Impact to sign him and bring him in. That didn't happen, or at least use the guy more. So I was disappointed not to see him. I felt there should be a 0% chance that Johnny Impact doesn't win this because, my God, even though he doesn't need the X Division title and whatnot, but he's your world champ. There's no way that you don't have the guy win. I'm excited to see him and Rich Swann. What I feel is going to happen is Johnny Impact will probably, at some point, lose the belt to Cage, go out there, take the X Division title from Rich Swann or whoever the champ might be at the time. and then cash in option C immediately and just kind of degrade the X Division title a little bit more, even more than it's being, unfortunately, with Rich Swann, because let's be honest, the X Division is no longer an X Division. It's just like Rich Swann versus people like Sami Callihan, who aren't X Division wrestlers. But I don't. You guys have anything you want to chime in on the match or the outcome? I'm really not going to go break down each match and give it a breakdown. But Ultimate X thoughts, Larkin.
All I can really say is it really just enhances Johnny Impact as the heel champion, maybe have some more gold around his waist. So I think for that aspect, I think it accomplished what it needed to be accomplished. Go ahead, Hurls.
I didn't think Johnny Impact would win because I didn't think it was a smart decision to have him win. I thought Jake Crist should have won out of anybody. And I'm surprised you do not like Ace Austin. I actually find him pretty talented. But, I don't know. I would have had Jake Crist win the match.
I don't know what it is with Ace Austin. He's just rubbing me wrong and not talking like doing good heel work. I don't like something about the guy. He also did make a comment on Twitter about some idiot being like the smartest fan he's ever seen, and it was a complete insult if you know the douchebag that he said it about. But little does he know yet. But right. So then we have Team Impact versus Team Lucha Underground. Now Johnny Impact bows out of this match, so there was going to be a replacement. And Hurls, I know on your Facebook page that you run here, we had a for your prediction thing. It was like pick the new member. I went with Killer Cross, who I thought was pretty much a guarantee. I figured it had to be Killer Cross or Eli Drake. And now I saw someone say, a couple of people actually mentioned this Ty Dillinger guy, but it didn't make sense because he's not a member of the Impact roster. But before we get there, now I was thinking Killer Cross. Larkin, you had shown us something where Killer Cross ended up advertised for the show and actually got legitimately pissed off. What was the deal behind that again, Lark?
I think one of the guys pretty much got like an Eventbrite thing in his email, like an Impact fan, and he's like, Killer Cross, he looks like he's going to be there. And he goes, no, I'm actually pissed about this because Killer Cross was at Bloodsport with Josh Barnett. He was fighting David Ard Smith, so he wasn't going to be at the event. So he's pissed. Advertised for something he's not even going to be at.
Disappointing too, because I feel like Killer Cross, should have been in the match. He should be a guy in the card. He's so heavily featured. He's a rising star in Impact. Him and Moose kind of got their team in tandem going on, so he was a good fit. I felt Eli Drake was the other obvious fit, especially when Eddie Edwards says, "Hey, I know just the guy." Hurls, you put the thing on your distribution pick'em thing, and I'm thinking after I put it on there, I was like, God, maybe I should have picked Tommy Dreamer, but then I thought, no, they're really not going to do it. Plus, Tommy Dreamer is not part of the Impact roster. He does LU. He does like every fucking company there is. There's no way they're going to bring Dreamer out, but it's Tommy Dreamer. And how disappointed were you guys, man?
I'm pretty much, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't shocked because he's a Northeast guy, obviously a New Yorker, he has a lot of involvement with the company, so I kind of saw it coming in a way, but still, it's kind of like meh.
You know what, though? The thing about Tommy Dreamer is, was I a little disappointed was him? Yeah, I think this was before we knew the whole Eli Drake situation, I believe. So, but the one thing about Tommy Dreamer that he's kind of earned is, as soon as he comes out there, he gets a big reaction. It's kind of like a cheap pop almost to use him, but he does get a reaction. And, you saw people pop for him right away. He's just kind of like one of those guys where he gets the crowd going. He does a lot of crazy stuff. Him and Eddie Edwards, I don't even want to talk about that spot, but dang. But I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
He gets the crowd going, so I'll give him that at least.
That, I forgot about that spot. It was probably the most homoerotic thing I've seen where Dreamer put the water in his mouth, like Tommy Dreamer, take a drink of water and then spray it in the fans or opponent's face or whatever. He literally, like a fountain, spits the water into Eddie Edwards' fucking mouth. Props to him for doing it. I'm a germaphobe and whatnot, that's gross enough as it is for me. If you go for dudes and you're a dude, that's your thing. No hate on it. It's just that's not what I'm attracted to. It's gross, but it definitely was something that stood out. That's for sure.
Well, not only that. You remember Tommy Dreamer's first WWE gimmick? He was kind of
eating his own hair and shit.
Yeah.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah.
The thing too, man, I'm an ECW fan. I loved ECW so much, and I still miss ECW, and I love it. And I'm a Tommy Dreamer fan. I'm a Tommy Dreamer guy. I've always liked the guy. I've been a big fan of him. And I have nothing against the guy, and I respect the shit out of him so much. But my God, man, it's so done and tired. And what new does Tommy Dreamer bring, especially at this age? I respected Mike Cal, but it was a super disappointment because we see it so much and so often, and they go to that Tommy Dreamer well. And I wanted to see anyone else. Let someone else on the Impact roster come out and do something. You know, give one of the Rascals, for God's sakes. You know, just let someone else go in there and shine. But, you know, I mean, I guess with the hometown shit and all, Dreamer got what he did. But and so the match goes on. Obviously, we have Moose, who's the heel. He kind of screws over Team Impact, and they lose to Lucha Underground. And this is the point that I want to say, is this is an Impact show. This is Impact Wrestling putting this on. This is your company. Only Impact Wrestling still in this day, and regardless of what regime or management company it is the only company that's fucking stupid enough to run a show with your company against another one and still have the other company go over and win and make yours look better. Like they did the co-promotion show last year, and I know there was no like tallying keeping track, but the Lucha Underground talent went over way more often than Impact does. And let's be honest too, man, Lucha Underground, from like everything that's said from people that run the company, they're done. Like, Lucha Underground isn't coming back. So not only do you take on your own show, make your own company and your own roster look second rate to Lucha Underground, and not even the top Lucha Underground talents, when you've got like your former world champion Eddie Edwards and Mr. Impact and shit on there, but a company that's not even going to fucking be around anymore. Only Impact is that stupid to do it. And it's just, I'm at a loss for words. I couldn't even believe they were dumb enough to do this, but what did you guys think of the outcome and all that? Am I going too far into it, or am I just like? Well, you know what I mean?
Well, you knew Tommy Dreamer was going to eat the pin because he loses.
I can't believe AAA won. I mean, look at the different size between the two teams. I mean, you had Moose, Eddie Edwards. Who was the third guy that I'm forgetting?
That's what I'm trying to think of too. It's Moose, Edwards,
Brian Cage.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, Cage.
And then Tommy Dreamer versus Marty the Moth, Drago, Aerostar, and Daga. I mean, look at the size advantage for Impact. I just thought with Lucha Underground winning last year, there was no way Impact was going to lose this year, but here we are.
Moose and Cage alone, man, if it was a real fight, 4-on-2, like it should never happen. I guarantee you Moose and Cage at 4-on-2 in a real fight would have just destroyed those four guys in about fucking 2 minutes. Like a punch each, you know, and it's just, it was embarrassing to see that Impact is still stupid enough to do that. Larkin, did you have anything to chime in there?
Nah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I knew Tommy Dreamer was going to probably take the pin because Tommy Dreamer pretty much puts over everybody.
Exactly. And I respect Tommy for that. What's up?
Can I say one thing, though? I was impressed with Daga. I
thought he's very good.
He was pretty polished. Like, to me, he looked like a better version of Trey Miguel.
And he's Tessa's boyfriend, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's just really well seasoned, and I'm hoping Impact uses him more and puts him in a storyline because I think he's TV ready.
Yeah, and he was on MLW not too long ago. I actually watched a little bit of MLW because that was the free stuff they had on Fight Network heading into it, because I haven't been able to see MLW in a couple of months now, actually, when I downgraded my Sling package a little bit. So disappointed in that, but he's I'd like to see him more often, especially with Tessa on the roster. So and then speaking of Tessa, we go to the Knockouts title match next. Like, I don't know how anyone would expect the titles to change hands. So Taya Valkyrie retaining. She took on Rosemary. Who was the Jordan Grace and Katie Forbes?
RVD's girlfriend, and she's on WoW Women of Wrestling.
Yeah, and Rob Van Dam is a lucky son of a bitch. I'll tell you that much. Goddamn good job for you, Van Dam. But, I figured she'd take the pin. We had Su Yung come out and get Rosemary out of there, so Rosemary looks strong and continues that feud. Taya getting the win. Very unimpressive match to me, and it just, when I was really thinking, okay, we need this to kind of perk it up or something, I think the ball really dropped on this match. You guys have anything you want to say on that?
It accomplished what it needed to accomplish. Go ahead, Hurls.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good for storyline purposes, but other than that, it wasn't anything special. I think there was a few mishaps in it, but that's about it.
And I mean, the Rosemary and Su Yung thing, I can't wait for that to happen. I've been waiting for that to happen for a while, too. But I just want to say one thing, too, to the Impact Wrestling fans and everyone in creative and whatnot. If you don't think that Su Yung is gone after this feud with Rosemary they're letting her go too, and that's disappointing too because they have nothing. I can tell you right now, they got nothing. They don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with this girl after this Rosemary feud, and that's disappointing too because Sue Young's a great talent. But I'll just go out on a limb and say right now she's not gonna be here much longer because they don't know what the fuck to do with her. But so then we had the next match. I was excited for it, but very let down as well. We had LAX against. Look, man, I don't want to see Low Key come back to Impact again, but the guy's a great talent, and he's very entertaining to watch. So it's him, and I didn't know who his tag team partner was, and then I saw that it was Ricky Martinez, who I see all the time on Major League Wrestling, so I get even more excited when it comes out. And the match just kind of to me. And I felt like the ring kind of dampened it. Some guys that should have, like, there was no way that this match should have not tore the house down, and it didn't. I'm glad LAX went over. But that's really all that there was to say. I would maybe like to see Low Key and Ricky Martinez be on the TV show a little bit more, but I never want Impact to commit anything to Low Key ever again because he's burnt them so many times. Larkin, anything to say there?
Promociones Dorado. Low Key and Ricky Martinez. I got to tell you, you knew Ricky Martinez was eating that pin. It was kind of a bland match, and it was okay. I think the right guys went over in LAX. Hasta la muerte y después. Go ahead, Rose.
Yeah, I think it was pretty disappointing. I think the best part of this match was the 2-minute trash talking that they were doing. They weren't actually wrestling, but I don't know. It just never really took off to me, and I was not that impressed with Ricky Martinez for some reason. I don't know. I thought he kind of slowed the match down.
Absolutely. And so, you know what, man, also one other thing I wanted to bring up, too, we were talking about the roster now, and a news story is Ivelisse came out and said how she was basically saying the Lucha Underground keeps her under contract or whatever, or keeps her held down. But apparently Impact at one time was going to use her on a co-promotion show, but then they canceled on her at the last minute. And I just want to say how much that sucks because we've all been wanting to see Ivelisse come in there. It's another, if they're trying to freshen up the knockouts, why are we bringing Madison and Gail Kim back and leaving Ivelisse on the sideline when we'd all much rather see Ivelisse than at least Madison? But digressing there, we go to the intergender match, and I'm not going to lie, this may have been the match of the night for me. We had Tessa Blanchard against Joey Ryan. I've got quite a few things to say on this one. It did way better than I ever expected it to. Joey Ryan is a good wrestler. Tessa is a good wrestler. And you know, this my wife was into this match too. You know, it was entertaining. It did what it needed to do. I'm going to say this, is that what I feel should have happened, man, is in this match, and I feel kind of like, in a way, they're trying to actually push Tessa towards becoming a face. I don't know if you guys feel the same way too, but I feel like this would have done better and more if Tessa would have put up one hell of a fight but lost. You know, like, if she would have, like, given this good fight against a guy but ate the pin, because it would have been like, man, look how good she did and how well she did and all that. I feel like that would have done more. Almost like, you know, when Steve Austin lost to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, it really made him. I felt like when Tessa won the match, man, it went cheap for some reason. And I know it shouldn't have done that, and it should have never done it. But to me, it failed doing what it needed to do. But the match itself was so much better than I expected it to be. I've seen a lot of people shitting and clowning on it. Look, Joey Ryan with his penis thing, trying to make her touch it with the lollipop and all that, man. Whatever. It's Joey Ryan. He's funny. I like the guy a lot, and it's part of his gimmick and all. Quit shitting on the match, because really, if you look at the wrestling aspect of it, it kicked down barriers for that show. I know this is a big one, so I'll start with you, Larkin. What were your thoughts on this match?
It ain't easy being sleazy. So Joey Ryan did his thing. You know, it was just the sleaze ball, and Tessa Blanchard getting her, you know, the magnum on the sleaze ball. You know, she did the dick flip, of course. It was fine. It was what it was, and it, you know, added more with Tessa there. You know, it was okay.
I thought, I'm with you, Raven. In fact, I thought this match was probably one of the highlights of the show for sure, because I did not expect much, and I thought this was actually really well done. And Joey Ryan, it was great to hear his old TNA music again, and I thought the whole dick stuff was kind of toned down a little bit. And I thought it was more like a straight wrestling match. I thought it was fun though. I think, you know, Joey Ryan, when he's doing his creepy stuff, I think it's actually pretty entertaining. So I'm not a huge Joey Ryan fan, but I thought this match was pretty good.
I am a Joey Ryan fan. Props to him for putting over a woman. You know what I mean? Let's give him that props. I'd like to see Impact use him more, but then again, too, man, if I'm booking Joey Ryan, he lost to a girl. What more does that do? You know what I mean? How do I book him and whatnot? And I don't know. Do you guys agree with me on my point? And I don't care if you do or don't. Do you think it would have actually done more if Joey Ryan would have beaten Tessa? Do you think it would have made her look better than her actually getting that win?
Nah, because he's done the job to Evil East before, so he's put over women.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but Lucha Underground you can't really compare because that's like a total step. I mean, this is where it gets really kind of confusing when we're debating this. But Lucha Underground's kind of its own thing. I mean, it's like in its own universe. It's like Mortal Kombat meets pro wrestling, so it's like hard to compare. Where I think Impact takes it more like professional, like WCW did or WWF. You know, it's just kind of two different universes. I don't know. I mean, I would have been fine. I would have been fine with Joey Ryan winning, but I knew Impact was definitely not going to do it because Tessa, they're going to make her look really strong, and they probably feel like if she would have lost, it might have done her damage because, you know, she's kind of like their top knockout right now. So, I don't know. I mean, if we're going on the believability factor, like Eli Drake was talking about, yeah, sure, Joey Ryan. Credibility-wise, I think it probably would have did more damage to Tessa.
And I'm going to say this too, man, real fast, is Eli Drake should have never, ever, ever, ever been put in the position to where he had to say no to this match. Eli Drake, to make him a comedic or a guy that would be the punchline or that, this guy should have been in the main event or the upper main event challenging for the world title his entire career after he lost the belt. And it's a goddamn shame that they even have to be put in this position. So I want to say that. The other thing I want to bring up is I believe it was like the next night afterwards that Joey Ryan put on like some wrestling show or some penis power shit or something like that, but like an indie event his own in the area.
The penis party, right?
And I saw that they did like a human centipede act on it or human centipede spot, and I just want to say Scarlett Bordeaux was a participant in this, and the person that got to be the face on her ass or whatever, it is just, I wish I was that person.
Okay.
So props to the lucky man who got to be in that match and got to be behind Scarlett in the human centipede spot. So, please don't kill me, Killer Cross. I hate you. Okay. So, we had the X Division title on the line. Apparently, the guy that was supposed to fight Rich Swann canceled out too. I forgot who that was.
Yamato was a musician from Dragon Gate.
Gotcha. So we got Rich Swann against Flamita, which I believe is Spanish for flamer. So thankfully, there wasn't a fucking PC social justice warrior thing there too, where Rich Swann had to lose. This match went quick. It was pretty entertaining for what it was at the start. It got my wife kind of going. She was like, "Babe, you gotta come watch this. You're missing some really good action." I loved watching Rich Swann. Glad he went over. Knew he would have went over. Anything you guys want to chime in on that one?
This is a Dave Meltzer dude that Flamita likes, you know. Rey Mysterio comparison. I thought he was fine. I thought he was a good substitution. I mean, if it would have been Yamato, it would have been the same. Rich Swann and whoever's opponent be. This time it had to be Flamita. He did his thing. Rich Swann getting the dub. Go ahead, Hurls.
I like Flamita. I want to see more of him. This is the first time I ever watched him, and I was impressed. I don't really actually get the Rey Mysterio comparison because if you look at him, he seems more of a hybrid of a flyer, but he also has a little power game to him. So I'm not really sure where Dave Meltzer got that comparison, but I was actually impressed with the Little Flame, I believe, is what the translation is.
I was only joking about the flamer thing there. I was just, but... and then we had the Monsters Ball, Sami Callihan and Jimmy Havoc, which probably the second most entertaining match of the night. It was good, and I like the spots and the whatnot, but I guess I wanted to see them just go further, and I want to see like this violent fucking bloody death match to save the fact that I paid $20 for a shit show that was just disappointing me on every end. I mean, it was good. It was entertaining. I guess I maybe expected a little bit more. They had some crazy spots with the staplers and the nut stapling and all that. And what else was there? I know there was the stapling on the newspaper, but there was a couple other.
There were lemons. There was lemons. Right. Literally rubbing salt in the wounds. I mean, it was interesting.
Cardboard cuts. Yeah, salt in the wounds. Lemon juice.
I mean, Raven, did you see the first time they met at MediaCon, a Twitch show?
I didn't.
I did.
Okay.
It was good.
Well, you got the GWN. So go back and watch that one. I think you'll be more. I think you'll like that one better because I thought that one was a little better. I thought this one was good, but not. It just didn't quite live up, and maybe because the UK fans were more appreciative. I don't know.
I will have to agree.
I don't want to make it sound like I didn't enjoy it or it was bad. It wasn't. It was good. I don't know. I was bloodthirsty and I'll admit it.
I'll agree with Hurls on that. The first one was better, but this one was also good in its own right.
And of course, the right person went over. Yep. Callahan for world champion, to be honest with you. And then we came to the main event. And so we get the return of RVD and Sabu. There's a lot of stuff about Sabu I'm not going to get into. I was always a huge fan of the guy. There's a couple stories that have been out there about him and a dog and whatnot. But he comes out, man, and I swear to God, like his cracked out...
Oh, Melissa Coates?
Rugged-looking woman. She looks fucking methed out. Sabu looks methed out. It literally looks like the two had been in a fight, and it looked like Sabu was about ready to beat his bitch the second that she spoke on the way there, or the second that she did something he didn't like. It legitimately looked like the couple had not been getting along, and it sounds like there's some DV going on between the two of them from stories that have been out there, but I'm not going to put that on them. RVD comes out to the... For some reason, man, as terrible as that theme song is, I just love it. The Rob Van Dam, the whole fucking show. I don't know why I love his Impact theme so much, even though if you listen to the voices of the singers and the lyrics and all, it's just so fucking retarded and stupid. But, I was excited for it. The match was way too short-lived, way too short of ring. It was just so chaotic with the Bedlam that it didn't work because the ring was so small. Like I said, the most noticeable with the ring, RVD goes for Rolling Thunder. He does the one roll, and then the next thing you know, he's like, I can't remember if it was Pentagon or Phoenix, but he's literally like fucking right there touching the guy. Can't finish it. You can see RVD visibly get pissed off and kind of throw a bit of a tantrum over it. Of course, they did the spot where they laid Pentagon and Phoenix on the table. Where the table was actually already breaking. You saw Phoenix like frantically trying to push himself up and get in position to take the bump. Where they both do the leg drop off of the top rope. The match ended way too fast and quick, and it's like, we're paying $20 for this. Please don't rush this main event. Like, I know Sabu and RVD are way past their prime. I never expected this to be some classic because you're not getting the Sabu and RVD we wish we could have gotten if they would have done this match years earlier. But it was obviously the right team won. We knew who was going over. But it was extremely quick, extremely disappointing. And it just, it was just like, that was it? That's all we're getting? That was my reaction on it. It was good to see RVD still in good shape and whatnot. But, Hurls, what were your thoughts, man? The RVD and Sabu looked in great shape. I didn't expect Sabu to even look that good, but I'm glad he grew his hair out because the last time we saw him, he was bald in, I think it was like 2010. But, yeah, it wasn't a great match per se. I guess it was just good to see them back. Hopefully they can get the ring rust off, and maybe a bigger ring, obviously, would definitely help them out. So, I don't know. It wasn't a great main event. I want to see more, maybe a rematch, better size, decent ring. And I don't know. That's really all I can say about it. It just was disappointing because we had to pay money for it.
Too short. I liked the leg drop spot. Other than that, it was kind of meh, kind of abysmal. But I got to say, it was great to see Rob Van Dam. And the right team went over. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay. All right. The other thing I have to add on there is, Rose, you said it was good to see Sabu with his hair. I'm not going to lie, man. I would rather see bald Sabu than Sabu with a skullet. That was pretty awful. But it is what it is. Different opinions on Sabu's hair versus his skullet. So, we're going to hop into Impact, and we're not really going to review the show. We're just going to kind of go over a little bit of the storylines. Hurls, I know you're a little bit behind. I know you're going to bow out on this one. Is this correct?
Yes, I'm good. So I will see you guys later. Hopefully I'll be on next week's HeelCast. See you guys later. Have a good show.
All right, Hurls.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hurls.
Yeah.
Check out everything Hurls is doing, man. Thanks for keeping the HeelCast afloat, Hurls. We owe you. You're the man.
Will do. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Larkin, so we'll speed up. We've had a much longer show than I even expected it to be now. We'll just kind of go over some things that have been happening on Impact. I know you and I are both caught up. This past week we saw the return of Petey Williams getting a big victory in an X Division match I love Petey Williams. Glad to see him back. I wish they would use him more. It sucks it's only for Canada, but I'm glad he got the win. Maybe they probably should have used it to have Ace Austin go over, considering that's the new guy that they're trying to promote, but he didn't eat the pin. So, I mean, anything on that one?
Really, I'm just happy to see Petey back. I really was kind of about it, to be honest with you. It was fine.
Any thoughts on Ace Austin? I don't like the guy. I mean, I don't know what it is about him.
To be honest with you, he's just had like a couple he's talented, but he's just had a couple matches with a couple enhancement guys. So, and this was his first one out of the enhancement role. So I'm kind of like, yeah, let's see what else he's got.
I think it's his look to me that bothers me. I just think his look is just douchey. And his when I saw on the episode with on one of the Twitch shows where he just came and was doing the video game thing, it was just like, this guy fucking, I don't know, it just doesn't come off as a wrestler to me, or whatever. I guess I miss the old days where wrestlers look tough, not like gamers and shit like that, I guess. But one feud that's been pretty good, we got the OBE versus Rich Swann thing. Now, this Bad Man Fulton guy, I believe it's Sawyer Fulton, used to be in NXT. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was Insanity before Killian Dane.
And that's with EY, right, Eric Young?
Yes.
Yeah, so... he's debuted. Of course, we got the Chris brothers, Sami Callihan, who now with Eli Drake gone is my favorite guy in the company on the male roster. Them and I love Willie Mack. It's good to see Willie Mack involved in it. This storyline, I think it needs to come to a conclusion because it's kind of running its course. We know Rich Swann isn't joining OVE. I like OVE growing as a stable. One thing that disappoints me, though, man, did you see that at Rebellion it's announced that it's an X Division title match between Rich Swann and Sami Callihan?
Yes.
So I'm disappointed for two reasons. One, I missed the X Division. I wanted to go back to being the X Division. It seems like they're turning the X Division title into a mid-card title now with Callihan challenging for it. I feel like Sami will probably win it. But there's nothing X Division about Sami Callihan. And honestly, if that's going to become your mid-card title, which I hate, I wish they would just make a real mid-card title and let the X Division finally go back to being the X Division. Why call it the X Division? You know what I mean?
I feel you.
If that makes sense to you, Larkin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You still there with me?
Yeah, I'm here. I just said I know what you're saying.
Larkin, I can't hear you. Still there?
Yeah, I'm here, dude. I'm here.
All right, I'm sorry about that, buddy. And the other thing too, man, is I want Lethal Lockdown to return, and I felt this was the perfect time to do so because we've got you got Callihan, Fulton, both Chris brothers. There's 4 people for Lethal Lockdown, and then you could go Rich Swann, you could go Willie Mack, of course, and then you could throw Tommy Dreamer, and then a 4th guy being like RVD or someone. Like they had the opportunity to bring back Lethal Lockdown and give us something special at Rebellion, but we're not. We're just getting a normal, standard, traditional match, which we've already seen even main event and Impact. So I'm disappointed on that. I feel like a ball was dropped. I would have liked to seen Lethal Lockdown close this one out, and then we break off and Rich Swann. Anything to add on that one, Larkin? Your thoughts on the storyline?
I think it's fine. I'm just looking forward to see where it progresses. I'm okay with it.
Gotcha. Now we saw the return of Madison Rayne. I did love the fact that she took a shot at the Ring of Honor, saying she's been in so much worse than the Undead Realm. So that was decently entertaining. She lost to Jordan Grace in the number 1 contenders match. I have no idea why Madison Rayne would be in a number 1 contenders match on her debut back. She hasn't done anything. I don't have a problem with her being back. I have a problem with who she's getting pushed over. I have a problem with the fact that she was a jobber in ROH and in the Mae Young Classic. And if she's going to come right over and start going over the knockout talent, it just makes the knockout talent not only like 2nd rate, but I mean like 3rd or 4th, 5th rate. Anything on that?
To be honest with you, I'm kind of quiet on that one, to be honest with you. With Madison Rayne, I'm just kind of like, whatever. Jordan Grace went over. The right one went over. Now it's her and Ty at Rebellion.
Yeah, she did. And I'm not into Jordan Grace, even prior to the Eli Drake thing, but it's definitely, she should have clearly went over Madison Rayne. We saw the Beautiful People debut in Ring of Honor and call themselves Allure with Mandy Leon, but literally they're doing the same gimmick. To me, it makes ROH look like a big joke, in my opinion. But there was a shot there with Velvet saying something about that's how you make an impact. Obviously, the two companies are taking shots at one another. One thing that I have to say, too, man, that I noticed is any other company, you come into Impact, or you come to their company and you take a shot at Impact or badmouth Teen or Impact Wrestling, you get a push and it gets acknowledged. Eli Drake makes a comment about an ROH wrestler and puts them down and actually gets fired. It's okay to do it if you're Madison Rayne because your husband is like a president or whatever in the company. But I think there's a double standard that pisses me off, but, it is what it is. We saw Scarlett Bordeaux she got the victory over Glenn Gilberti. Now, I feel it's a little bit different there. Now, for one, the man versus woman thing, it's intergender. But it's part of the storyline, you know what I mean? And they needed to make Scarlett look credible because, let's be honest, she doesn't look like she's a competitor or a wrestler. She doesn't look like a tough girl. She's been used as a sex symbol, you know what I mean? But it's also, you're beating the Disco Inferno, a guy who's always been a comedian, clown, comedy act. His career is over. He's not a full-time wrestler. And he's put women over before. He's put over Jackie Moore and whatnot, So that was one thing. But now she's joining up with Falaba to call out the Desi Shit Squad. And we'll see where that goes from there. I have a feeling we'll see them tag team, and she'll probably pin one of the Desi Hit Squad members, and that's going to kill their cred unless, Falaba does all the work. But Larkin, your thoughts on this one with Scarlett and Desi Shit Squad and Falaba?
Don't care about the Desi Hit Squad, and my sentiments exactly. It's probably going to lead to Scarlett Pin and Rohit.
Right. So we'll see. I just hope they don't waste a pay-per-view match on that because I don't want to pay money at Rebellion to see that shit. Put it on if you want to put it on a pre-show, fine, but don't put it on the air. We've got we had Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake tag teaming up, and they just beat LAX to get the tag team title shots against the Lucha Brothers. Now we got the Lucha Brothers against LAX. That feud's been great. I'm worried that they're going to overkill it, but I'm super excited Rebellion to see Full Metal Mayhem. I think that's clearly got match of the night and possibly match of the year written all over it. I'm excited as hell to see what they do. I'm enjoying this Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake thing that will be short-lived. Larkin, have you read the spoilers?
I have. I don't know if you want me to give it because I know he's no longer with the company, but if you want it to be a spoiler-free zone, I won't say it. Yeah,
I want to talk about it, but I'm not because I don't want to ruin anyone's enjoyment
yes, exactly.
of the show.
So we won't spoil it, but yes, I did read the spoilers.
Yeah. So obviously Eli Drake seems like he would have been in a match with someone at Rebellion, a match that I was looking forward to seeing, and it's disappointing that we won't get to. But I'm enjoying how this goes. Obviously, it'll be wrapped up in a couple of episodes, and we won't see Eli Drake back.
Yeah, and all I could say on that is LAX, the Lucha Brothers, Full Metal Mayhem. Let's go. That's going to steal it.
Obviously, Ali's gone, but we've got the Rosemary versus Su Yung feud. Something that's obviously been in the works for, probably over a year now, am I right?
Yeah, dude, it's actually been in a year to the date that we've had it because it started in April, around April-ish of 2018. So, yeah, we're going straight on full year with this.
So we don't know how cleared and how ready Rosemary is to go, but man, I've been wanting to see this. I think there's something special. I hope that it lasts longer than Impact. I hope that it stretches out a little bit longer than Rebellion. I want to see Rosemary go over. I've been waiting for this feud and then to lead to Rosemary versus Ali. But with the Undead Realm stuff and whatnot, I hope when we hit Rebellion, it's not going to be an Undead Realm, broken universe sort of a thing. I hope we get an actual match and whatnot out of it. What do you think on that?
Well, I know they're going to have a match next week, so I'm sure that's going to progress to a match going forward at Rebellion. And it'll probably be something like that, but I kind of don't want to see it like that. Or maybe we can do a female monsters ball like we had back in the day with Taylor Wilde and Daphne, so we shall see.
Right. And I think we're actually going to end with 3 knockouts matches on the Rebellion card. I think we're going to get obviously we're going to get Jordan Grace and Taya. I think we're going to get Rosemary versus Su Yung. We do know we're getting Gail Kim versus Tessa. I am excited for Gail Kim to come out. I think this match is going to blow the fucking house down, and there should be a belt on the line for it because I feel like these two are just going to go at it. I feel 110% Tessa needs to be the one that goes over in this match. If you listen to our boy FK9, he thinks there's no chance in hell it's happening. Gail Kim out of retirement. I don't know if it's full-time or whatnot, but I'm excited for this. I think the feud's been good, but I also feel like I know we're 2 or 3 weeks away, but just let's fucking do it. Let's get to it. I don't know about you.
I think we have to have Tessa, win, and Gail Kim passes the torch. I know they're in her hometown of Toronto, so hopefully we don't see the hometown girl go over, but I think she'll do the JOB and we'll pass the torch.
And I feel like Gail Kim absolutely needed to put someone over when she retired and left the company the first time around, and she didn't, and that was very disappointing. And her final match, or what was supposed to be her final match in Impact, was really awful. It Bound for Glory that year, but we'll see where it goes. And I'm just excited, and I do think we're really going to get a fucking show between those two. And of course, the main feud going on, we've got Johnny Impact has turned heel, him and Cage. It seems like they have announced a match for Rebellion. I feel like there's got to be some sort of a gimmick match or stipulation or something to it, maybe like a cage match or a no holds barred or something along those lines. We know Killer Cross has been involved. Moose has kind of stayed out of it. This match, man, this feud, they need to put a bookmark into it. It's been pretty well done. I just feel, at the time I felt both of them needed to turn heel. I actually think the Johnny heel turn, it made Cage better as a face. It's made Johnny do better as a heel. And I'm more invested into it now than I was the first time around or everything that's happened afterwards. But they've built and built and built and built to this. And I feel Rebellion, Cage has to go over. And I feel like it's the Cage era from there. What do you think about it, Larkin?
Agreed, and I think it will lead to a Cage Killer Cross match for that title. So I'm interested to see where it progresses.
Me too. Yeah, man, and I feel like they've done so much with Killer Cross, but they actually haven't had him be too active in the ring. I think it's time to start doing that. And it should be a pretty good feud. I think, and unfortunately they've already done it, but I feel like after Cage wins it needs to be Cage versus Callahan. I feel like Sammy needs to be the next guy to win the champ because they need to push him and run with it because he's been doing great work. But we'll see how it goes from there, but I'm excited. I think the match is going to kick ass at Rebellion. I do think there's a pretty good pay-per-view card. I'm too salty right now to say I'm going to buy it when a week ago, there was no way in hell I wouldn't buy it. But do you think it's made the feud better between the two as well, Larkin?
Yes.
Absolutely, man. Well, if it's been a long show, we're going to wrap this up and head out. So thank you, everyone that listened to it. Still support Impact Wrestling as much as I don't want to right now. I'm still going to tell fans to do that because I don't want to see the company, falter or people lose their jobs and livelihood. But Larkin, anything you want to add in before we say goodbye to the folks tonight?
Just thank you all for listening and to keep supporting pro wrestling.
Absolutely. Check us out, too, at the HeelCast. Check everyone out. Hopefully we'll have a show next week. Hopefully we'll get that 2009 show. But thank you, everyone, to listen. I'm the RVE, the Raven Effect, on behalf of Larkin and his S&M Show podcast and the whole HeelCast family. HeelCast out. Have a great week.